We are going to be, they're touting us as possibly the first country that's going to have CBDCs. You need to know what a CBDC is. It's a central bank digital currency. Is it like Bitcoin? No, it's the opposite of Bitcoin. Bitcoin is decentralized store of value. This is highly centralized, highly controlled medium of exchange and a medium of control. A CBDC. And they're saying that Australia is already in testing phase for the next 12 months, and we could become the first to change our currency. Maybe they'll use the death of Queen Elizabeth as an excuse. That, well, we don't need to, change all the faces on the coins and the bills. What a waste of money, bad for the environment. Why don't we just go digital? Why is this important? Because it's programmable. Okay, your money is not programmable. One of the problems of America right now is they have what they call green money, which is the money that's in America, and red money, which is all the other money floating around, all the US dollars floating outside of their control in the international market. This is its own beast. It has its own life. It cannot be controlled, and it's a problem for America. They cannot control their own money and their own money supply. But if you digitize it, you can track and control everything. And that's what they want. Ultimately, they want wealth, which they already have, but they want more, and then they want power. So they have to digitize or monetize our money. Right, well, who's involved in all this? If you look at this photo, you can see that Klaus Schwab and Charles, back then the Prince of Wales, today the King of England, were already buddies in 1992. I don't know if this looks like 1992. That should be like 1972. Well, they're still good buddies here. Here they are in 2022, and they're still chummy. And we know what the King of England thinks about all this. He's very pro. Now, I don't want to give up on him because a man could change when he gets a lot of power and responsibility. You think a certain way, you always think you can do a better job than your mom or your parents, and then when you get the power and the responsibility, you could change your mind. So I hope that we can pray for him to have an encounter with Jesus. I don't think he's the Antichrist, because frankly he's too old and he's not very charismatic. You look at Charles, he's not a charismatic guy. And the Antichrist is a charismatic person. So I know people, say, oh, this is the Antichrist. They always say somebody's the Antichrist, but this does not seem to fit to me. So there is hope to pray for him. So he's already said that we must have the Great Reset because we have no alternative. Whenever anybody says we have no alternative, all right, you can just forget about it. Because whoever thinks there is no alternative other than the choice, the one option that they thought of, they ain't very bright. There's always another way. There's always another solution. Just wait. Just think it over a night. There'll be something else. Give science, technology, human ingenuity a little bit of breathing room and freedom, and we'll come up with something.
Eddie, why did it happen?
Pete, it's as simple as this. When Wall Street sneezes, our market ends up catching a cold, and today it was a $63 billion cold. It was a plunge from the outset. Every sector in the red, tech stocks hit the hardest.
But certainly the ferocity or the way that it's fallen today has been one of those things that has been really unexpected for us. We're certainly seeing some of the larger companies actually holding up all right, but it's definitely been a broad-based sell-off from the ASX 200 today.
The ASX 200 ended the day down almost 2.6%, wiping more than $63 billion off the value of the market, the biggest fall in 3 months. So, why? A nightmare on Wall Street, its worst fall in more than 2 years, a market spooked by worse than expected inflation figures, jumping to an annual rate there of 8.3% when it was expected to fall.
As in cricket, if nobody is talking about them, it means things are fine. It means they are doing a fine job. But if they are on the front page, rest assured something is wrong. Today is one such day. Everybody is talking about the US Federal Reserve. Why? Because the US inflation data is out. We'll start with those numbers now. Consumer prices increased 8.3% in August. Compare this to the months before. In May, it was 8.6%. In June, it was 9.1%. And in July, it was 8.5%. So compared to that, the August numbers are less. Having said that, three problems remain. Number one, the market expectations. Experts were hoping for 8% inflation in August, but the final data is much higher. It is 8.3%. Number two, month-on-month inflation compared to July. America's consumer prices surged 0.1%. It was unchanged from June to July, but in August it surged 0.1%. And finally, problem number three, core inflation, meaning that consumer prices minus the volatile stuff. I'm talking about things like food, fuel, things that affect all of us. America's core inflation actually increased 6.3% in August. Both June and July posted around 5.9%.
It's getting worse by the day. Electricity bills are soaring, gas reserves are depleting, and winter is coming. As the mercury dips, gas and oil consumption is going to pick up. But Europe does not have enough supplies. So what is it doing to avert this crisis from snowballing? Cost cutting. Almost every European nation has set new power-saving targets, new limits on energy consumption. Take the case of Greece. It has told the public sector to turn off lights or face consequences. What sort of consequences? The withdrawal of government funding to energy firms. Listen to this.
Reduce the air conditioning, maintain the heaters, remember to turn off the lights so we are not wasting energy. The lights on government buildings do not still be on at midnight. We are asking basic things.
In France, the government is taking similar steps every day. As the evening descends, the lights are dimmed, the monuments go dark, the fountains stop running. French cities bear a desolate spectacle. The scale of the crisis can be gauged through this story. The Eiffel Tower switching off its twinkling lights. The most visited monument in the world could go dark an hour earlier than usual. French citizens say their prospects look gloomy.
Digital currencies. They are not cryptocurrencies. They are digital. They can be kept in a ledger, but it's not a blockchain. The message traffic is encrypted. So to that extent, they are encrypted digital currencies issued by central banks, but they're not blockchain and they're not cryptocurrencies because these are very much controlled. The ledger itself is not a distributed ledger. It's controlled by the central bank itself. The other thing to bear in mind is that these are not new currencies. So if the Federal Reserve had a central bank digital dollar, it would still be a dollar. If the European Central Bank had a central bank digital euro, it would still be a euro or a Japanese yen, or if Turkey chose to do this, it would be a digital new Turkish lira. So it's not a new form of money or a new currency, rather. It is a new payment system and a new way to hold the money in the sense that it's completely digital. You would have it on your iPhone or your Samsung phone or Nokia, whatever kind of smartphone you have. You'd have an app. You'd have an account directly with the central bank. I keep some of my money in a bank. I have a bank account. I'm sure we all do. Well, imagine if you had an account with the central bank. And if you want to pay someone, you just go to your app and say, pay. You give the wire instructions, and the central bank moves the digital currency from A to B, but you completely disintermediate the banking system, merchants, and delivers them to MasterCard or Visa and gets paid. And then MasterCard or Visa takes an even larger bundle and presents them to the banks that issued the credit cards, and then they get paid. And then the bank that issued the credit card sends me a bill and I pay the bill. But you've got sort of five intermediaries there. You've got the merchant acquirer, MasterCard, the bank, and myself. 5 parties, fees all along the way. It's very inefficient and slow and costly. Well, imagine if you could eliminate all that with just central bank digital currencies with an account at the central bank, and they would handle all the due froms or due tos with no fees or minimal fees. Well, that's interesting. It sounds efficient and fast, but you would completely disintermediate the banking system and perhaps eliminate the need for MasterCard and Visa or other forms of payment. So these